Wow. Just getting the last couple items set up here, guys, and then I will probably start some of these talking points. Combat Wombat is stuck in audio disaster land, yes. That is how I would describe that. Audio disaster land. All right. To change this. Bam bam. Got some hopefully fun topics to discuss and share. Just gotta get to my document here and finish the last couple parts. Alright, I think that's good. Let me just get to this document. Alright, so what's happened in the last week and a half or two? NVIDIA has come out with their crazy 30 series. AMD made an announcement about an announcement. It's probably about another announcement, if I had to guess, with their current pattern. Finally started playing some Last of Us 2. It's been tons of fun. Hey, David. How's it going? Pretty good, pretty good. So, are you excited about the new consoles, David? That are supposed to be dropping in the next few months? I know I'm excited. They both look really awesome, especially if you're on a budget and you want to game. Both very solid options. I will probably be doing just the PlayStation myself, the PlayStation 5, since it sounds like all the Xbox games are going to be Windows compatible. Oh no, not bad news. What's the bad news, my friend? Hello, Honor. How are you? But the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be the same price as the Xbox, from my understanding. Let's look it up. So yeah, so the Sony has announced the PlayStation 5 will cost just under $500 by a penny, because you know that's how they do. Well, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that, man. And then they also have a $400 digital edition, so kind of doing what the Xbox is doing, where they have the higher tier and the lower tier one. It seems like a good way to go. Seems like a good way to go. But that's unfortunate, David. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hopefully, Combat Wombat will be joining us soon. He's stuck in audio hell. And, yeah. Let's see. What's the price of the newest Xbox, or the? I know I've looked already, but I need to know. I would like to compare. So, the big, or nope, that's not Xbox. What's the new Xbox called? I don't even know. What? Not One X. New Xbox price. There we go. We'll just do that. Xbox Series X, because it's not confusing enough yet. I am not on Discord right now, but we're just doing our news segment where we just kind of touch bases with everybody and talk about all the cool, fun news articles in the last couple weeks and all the developments in our lives and in the tech industry as we see them. But so maybe Rocket League, when we're done with that, it shouldn't take us more than a couple hours to do this segment. Hopefully, like I said, Combat Wombat will be joining soon. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go work my way through the bullet points that we already have established and wrap it up. So, looks like the Xbox Series X, as everybody's just well aware at this point, because it's been a few weeks, is $499. So the PlayStation is just matching that. And then I think their Series Down, the S or whatever they're calling it, is also $200 or $300. $299 sounds right to me. Yeah. But you don't get a disc drive with that one. It has a little less powerful hardware, but it's specialized, so it shouldn't make a huge difference. But honestly, like, all the Xbox games are supposed to be coming out on computer as well, so I will probably just be sticking with my computer unless one comes to me at the right price. But the PlayStation 5, I think, is still going to have some exclusives, even though they're working their way towards not having exclusives. They will probably still have some for a little while. So yeah, that's what that is. And then let's see what's next on here. I'm excited about the new consoles, though. They look beautiful. They gave us kind of a sneak peek into AMD's hardware, which they've made an announcement about announcing two things next month. I think on the 8th and the 24th, if I recall correctly. And I think the 8th is the Ryzen, the new Ryzen line, Zen 3. Yeah, it's confusing because they named it Ryzen 4000 Zen 3. I'm really excited about that. Looking to upgrade my processor, so going to be keeping an eye on that. And then they're going to make an announcement about their graphics cards, the Radeon 6000, probably like 680 or something, or 6800. Next month as well, on the 28th. I think that, this subject has definitely been beaten to death by the rest of the internet, but I'm looking forward to it. It does look like they're managing to kind of almost catch up to NVIDIA finally, but I don't think they're going to succeed, which is very unfortunate because somebody needs to challenge NVIDIA for the throne. But we are all very fortunate that NVIDIA is a gracious god and has not done what Intel did for 8 years, which was basically just fall asleep at the wheel and continue to rake in extreme large amounts of dough. So, lucked out there, didn't we? But yeah, that is the question, right? What will be the most powerful graphics cards available? Will AMD finally show up to the party? Definitely already showing up late, so we'll see. And then, I don't know. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to have talks about? I've been playing. I just started up last Sunday because Zillow was unavailable. They got a little overwhelmed with some homework. I started my playthrough of Last of Us 2, which was very cool. It's a beautiful looking game, and it's fun to play, and I only have good things to say about it. Oh yeah, the new update on Rocket League. I actually opened up Rocket League briefly last night to check some of that out. Got all kinds of crazy amounts of items for thank you, David, for my account, and got just a totally absurd amount of things. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So I think on 6 days from now it's supposed to be free. So I think this last update was setting up for that, and they'll probably start the new season here relatively soon as well, probably when it becomes free to play. And it's coming out on Epic, the Epic Game Store. It's going to start to be on Steam, Epic, PlayStation, Xbox, and all that stuff. Pretty stoked about it. The update looks really cool. It did roll the Rocket League friends list into the Epic Store's friend list, so you just kind of have one friend list via the Epic Store now, which I kind of... Yeah, 6 days from now. Yep. So 5 days almost at this point. But I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that Rocket League doesn't have its own dedicated friends list, because it made it easy to just make friends with random humans and play games with them, and they wouldn't be able to necessarily follow you back to your main profiles. But it is what it is. But yeah, I got all kinds of crazy stuff, and if anybody hasn't opened Rocket League in a hot minute, you should go check that out and open it up. Give me one moment. So it sounds like we might have a close quarter wombat. Do we have a close quarter wombat?
I don't know. Do we?
Oh man, you are staticky.
Okay, so the problem is Discord then, because it literally works fine in every other program.
What are your settings? What are your settings in Discord?
The same settings in every other program. I just have it receiving my mic output, and it's outputting to my speakers. But you're all staticky, and apparently I'm all staticky, so it's literally just Discord. All accelerations.
Am I staticky?
And if I go to any other program and put the same input and output in and hit record, it sounds perfectly fine and clear.
Yeah, no, it is really cool, David. Well,
so yeah, Discord's having an issue, it looks like.
Okay, try opening Discord via one of the browsers, do the browser Discord, and see if it still persists. Or if you can change the hertz and stuff of what your mic is putting out. I don't know if you can, but on my Focusrite Scarlett, I had to change it to 48,000 sample rate and a buffer size of 192, and that seemed to have fixed it for me anyway.
I always set everything to max. Let me see.
David or Jared? David says, "What's up?"
What's up, David?
But yeah, so I've already kind of touched on a couple of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight. Was there anything else that Oh, this might be a different document. But yeah. So I mean, I think the next
browser mode real quick.
Yeah, do it.
I'll call you right back.
Sounds like a plan. I think the next few months for gamers are going to be really exciting because we have the new 30 series. AMD is dropping a whole new line of hardware. So we have the new processors coming out, which if the trend continues, will be an epic upgrade from Zen 2. So we had Zen 1, Zen 2, and Zen 3. Zen 3 should be hopefully be announced / hopefully maybe come out next month, but it's definitely going to be announced next month. And if the percent increase in like how well they're doing is at all the same, it's going to be a great time for everybody. I'm really stoked about it, about the 4000 series. I know the 4000 series is supposed to be compatible with if you have a higher end motherboard right now, but I don't know if Zen 3 will continue that trend all the way through its life. So a little less excited about that, but we'll see. And let's see what's over here. But how's everybody else's week been? Pretty exciting. Some good, some bad. Anything you're excited about out there? Any new games that you're excited about? I know Squadrons is supposed to come out for the Star Wars Squadron game, which looks really cool. I just saw it on the Steam store yesterday, I think, and that looks really neat. I'm pretty stoked about that. Let's see if I can find the correct app here. There it is. Whew. Never had so much trouble finding Steam in my life. That's a lie. Nope, that's not what I want. Go back. So let's see here. Oh, and the Among Us is just blown up. Absolutely blown up. Crazy. Oh yeah, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake is supposed to drop soon. It is already out? Yeah, I think it's already out. I'm pretty excited about that as well, actually. I definitely don't have the money for it right now, but I will be picking that up when I can, because that was one of the things that when I was in high school, we just sat around and did way too long. Like, way too much. Is like, any chance we got, we were either playing Final Fantasy or Tony Hawk's, and I think those were pretty much the games of choice at the time for me. Was that her? Oh man, I don't know if I can pronounce that. Hurricane Bay. Thanks for the follow. How are you? We're just hanging out, talking about things that we're excited about. Lots of great, wonderful tech news recently. All right, welcome back.
So on the browser versions test, it doesn't have the static and popping on my end, but it like cuts everything off halfway through.
Well, you
with
came
everything
through.
Turned off.
You've come through 100% clear right now.
Okay, that's good. I've had this issue in the past where Discord's tester will not show what other people are actually hearing. It's completely different.
Well,
And so
the
it
first
looks like
time
it's
you
just doing
called,
that again.
you were popping and stuff, but this time you are not.
Yeah.
So that's very
So
exciting.
apparently it's the Discord app that's broken now. Which, good thing the browser one's a different version.
Yeah, right. At least it runs on a slightly different architecture, because I think I think Discord is just a Chrome app, basically. It's just based on Chrome.
Yeah. Yeah, my settings
Good,
in
I'm glad
the
to hear
Discord
it.
app on the browser.
I'm still not... I'm just going to call you Haka, if that's all right.
Okay.
No, this person has Hakan Bey. I cannot say their whole name. It's just a tongue twister for me. But anything you're excited about in the recent news cycles of technology and all that fun stuff, Haka? But are you still on the browser one then, Jared?
Yeah, I'm on the browser.
All right, let's see if we can't get a. You want to give me a? Can you do a video call with me with the correct video on there? Will that let you? Do
Yeah,
it?
I'm setting that up right now. I had to like enable a bunch of permissions and stuff.
I will have to vet that music first, but potentially. I will make a note of it, and I will hopefully have it next time we're doing this for you. But I only stream music that is in my approved library of music because of lots of reasons. Because they get really crazy with those music license. I streamed some of my dad's music and they flew off the handle, like. He did join the stream briefly also, yes. So that was pretty special. Let's see, how do I hide there it is, okay. Boom, and then we're going to capture this window. Hooray! Properties, not that. Not that either. There we go. And then we're going to turn that on. And then we're going to stretch this out. There it is, okay. Had trouble finding the control that I wanted. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, well, welcome to Zerofoxcng Cafe, Senor Wombat.
Hola, hola.
Ding! It's beautiful, it's a perfect fit! Honor, welcome back. Well, I've already talked a little bit about the 3080 and all that fun stuff, but what are your thoughts on it, sir?
It's pretty exciting. I'm really excited to see what they can do with more power, especially in the AI department. It's nice to see that even without like competition for the technology that they're pushing it for, because it's basically designed like as a gaming card that is secretly a AI supercomputer card,
right?
And that's like I heard some estimates that said that it was basically like maybe as much as half of their future development will be going into that sector. And so
I've heard some of that too. Like they're really focusing down on the AI stuff, but they're not forgetting about the gamers, which is extremely important. I feel like if they want to keep their image, you know.
Yeah, it's really cool that, I mean, they could just turn around and just do AI processing and probably make more money than trying to include all the gaming stuff that they do. Yeah. Because honestly, that's just the future of everything. Everything will eventually be all cloud-based AI computing. And we're kind of seeing a little hint of that with like xCloud and Stadia and like PlayStation Now and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked. I don't think the personal computer is ever going to really truly go away.
Well, no, you'll have to have it, especially as a conduit to access all the cloud stuff too.
But I mean, like, I think that it's gonna start becoming a lot more accessible for people that have lower end computers to play higher end games, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's really
when you
neat.
think about it, like most of the world can't access like a high-end gaming computer. Like a very very small percentage of the world has the type of financial or supply means to access that. So I think that
Our day is magical.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that like maybe 500 million people have like realistic access, either through their financial situation or just through their local economy, to like access a gaming computer, like save up for and build one and stuff like that, and be able to use it.
I mean, we're fairly fortunate here in the United States
that power.
Yeah, we're fairly fortunate here in the United States that we do have consistent power, and so many of the companies that make these computers, even though the parts are not made here, most of them are based here overall, and like we are probably one of the larger consumer bases for it, just because like you can actually get a pretty good gaming computer for just a few $100, like not that much more than a console.
Yeah, for about the cost of a console.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not going to be like putting high graphics on like Warzone or something, but like you'll be able to play Warzone at least.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy when you think about the numbers. So it's not if they can, it's just because it's going to happen. So it's just a matter of when, it's like when they get AI cloud computing up to where it almost is right now, but like a little bit better, then a $10 or a $5 cheap smartphone. Like I can go to Walmart and get a smartphone, Android smartphone, for less than $20.
Yeah.
That can run like xCloud and run run mobile remote desktop applications and stuff like that. So if you think about like 500 million people have access to a gaming computer or like a large scale workstation computer, which is basically the same thing. If AI cloud computing can make it so that, because most of the world has access to smartphones, because like I said, you can get them for like a few bucks basically if you get them on sale or the right time, stuff like that. And so if most of the world has access to a smartphone, if they can provide 80 to 90% of what a gaming or a large workstation computer can provide, but provide it remotely, especially through AI cloud computing, then you go from like 500 million people having access to those resources to like 8 billion people having access to those resources. And that's insane. That's insane to think, because like look how far we've come with 500 million people having access to the things that allow innovation. And then imagine how far we'll go if 8 billion people have access to that
nearly
same
everyone.
level of resources. Yeah, that's insane to think that like such a small percentage of the population has done all of what we've seen in the world. And so just imagine if more people have access. It's pretty exciting. I think. Yeah, no, I think
it is super 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 cool, and it is definitely the future in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, I just want VR glasses, so I can just VR glasses with like a couple cameras set up in the house with IR and all that stuff, like basically like the Xbox camera, like the Kinect and stuff, with some VR glasses instead of a giant headset. I think we're like 10 years away from that, and then you can just do anything in a virtual setting.
Yeah. Also, Honor has to emphasize, because he's really excited about it, that the Call of Duty Cold War Alpha is live tomorrow on the PS4 for 2 days. So I guess, is it a free alpha then, Honor? So just anybody that wants to get it / download it and play it can do it. Do you know? And then, so that's actually pretty exciting news just by itself. That's pretty cool. And then, but yeah, so I'm really excited about the 3080 that's dropped, and I kind of want to see, what the 3090 and what the rest has to bring, and then also I am really excited about the AMD cards, even though in all honesty I don't think they're going to be able to punch up to the levels of like even a 3080, even though that's the quote unquote kind of mid-tier card at this point, based on what they're doing, because they have the 3070, the 3080, and then the 3090. but I think that they're definitely beating the 2080 Ti, which will beat the 3070 theoretically. So that's kind of cool that they're clawing their way slowly but surely back up that tree, because they were definitely, up until I would say the 57 XT or whichever one came out a year and a half ago or a year ago or so, they were definitely just the budget card, like that, and that was it.
Yeah, I think NVIDIA, the thing AMD, because they won't say anything about the new cards. They released some specs, and the raw power looked like maybe it was a little bit stronger than the raw power of the 2080 Ti, but they completely didn't acknowledge that the raw power of the 2080 Ti is half of its graphics output.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole card might be a little bit more powerful than half of that card. And so I'm really hoping that they are just not talking about some performance technologies.
Well, they do have some that they've been working on for sure. They definitely have.
Yeah, because the performance technologies are huge.
Yeah. So they definitely have they have their own DLSS system, which, from what I've heard, is not great, but it's there and being worked on. And then they have their own ray tracing. Effectively just ray tracing, but I think they call it something else that they've been working on, which is still not as polished as the ray tracing for NVIDIA, but it's there. So hopefully what they've been working on all this time, especially because the consoles supposedly have ray tracing and dedicated ray tracing hardware, that's what they've been working on.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too. I'm hoping they come out with dedicated hardware that they haven't disclosed any information about for some reason, but it's AMD, so they make all kinds of stupid decisions with PR.
Yeah, with their marketing,
they're
marketing something else.
Yeah, they're hiding their RT core equivalent, because NVIDIA is getting pretty close. They had hoped to get them released with the 30 series, which would have been today.
Yeah.
But it didn't. They said it wasn't quite up to their quality standards yet, so they held off. This is from internal leaks. So I guess the whole internet could just be making something up, and NVIDIA could be for some reason not refuting it, which wouldn't make sense. But because they're pretty good about squashing rumors that are completely just flat out not true, and they kind of let the rumors slide that are definitely true, like they did with the 30 series, which was insane. The number of leaks that came out, it's NVIDIA, just tell us, this is just your new PR program is called LEAK.
Right.
That's just, it's oh, leak, that's it, that's NVIDIA's PR program.
That's their entire department.
Yeah. But DLSS 3.0 looks when it releases, it's going to be huge, because it'll basically make it so they don't have to work with game developers on getting the AI processing done for the game. They can do it post-processing outside of the game's actual engine, and so it's not going to be DLSS 3.0. It will probably work better if it's implemented by the game, because it's more efficient that way. But if your car has a rocket booster, it probably works better if it's not duct taped to the hood.
What?
But
how dare you say that?
Once it's out, it should alleviate the problem of game devs just not having the capability to add that level of support, and which is a real thing. If you have a finite amount of work you can do, then you might have to cut that in favor of making the game run smoother and fewer bugs and stuff. But it'll also help because AMD is totally trying to rekindle the frickin' GPU wars of the 2000s, which were really annoying. And they're basically just paying game companies not to put performance technologies in their games.
Yeah, I tried my hardest. I tried my absolute hardest to find something about that last night. I did look a little bit today, and I could not find anything really. Now, I'm not saying it's happening, and there's definitely other ways it could happen that isn't money-based.
Oh, yeah.
So, one because there's the contractual thing, or the we have your we're releasing this game with an AMD card, so why would we program non-AMD stuff into it? like
Yeah.
there's stuff like that maybe, but like
Well,
I don't
you
know. I
can,
could not find anything beyond like the weird contractual quirks. No, I don't know, like because that's all like it's all rumor, and until I see a piece of paper with people's names on it and stuff, I hesitate to.
No, you could just go to AMD's website.
I hesitate to say that, but
They
like I
got
don't
the
know.
list of sponsor games on their website.
Well, yeah, but the sponsor games that doesn't necessarily mean like they're not gonna be the entire games dev studio's budget. AMD doesn't have the money for that yet.
No, but what it is an interview is done with a couple of the people that have worked on games like Borderlands 3, for example, a really famous AMD sponsor game. They basically said, no, we weren't allowed to use these technologies because we were sponsored by AMD. And so they didn't go into the specifics because of probably NDAs and stuff. Like maybe it's a timed exclusive like the consoles do, where it's like, no, for a year you cannot implement performance increasing technologies and stuff like that. Because all of the sponsor games that I've personally played and I've been able to see what they have in the graphics options, they have no AMD specific graphics options. The one thing that sets them apart from all the other games is they specifically don't have NVIDIA performance things in there too. And so like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, they just released Death Stranding in the same engine, using the same version of everything that had DLSS put in there. The Death Stranding devs were like, yeah, it was really easy to get DLSS implemented, and now that we've got it implemented in the engine, it's super simple to put it in the other things, and everyone kind of assumed that Horizon Zero Dawn was going to have it because of that. And then when Horizon Zero Dawn released, a lot of people were really pissed off. They're like, where the hell's DLSS? The game runs at half the speed it should run at. And the answer was, oh, it's AMD sponsored, so they're not going to have NVIDIA technologies in the game.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't think
that was the same for Borderlands 3 too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just have a hard time. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I'm sure it happens. I just also feel like, one studio. Happy birthday in advance, Donna. You'll have to tell us when we get closer. Well, I mean, if you have any questions or want to contribute, David, go ahead and just throw us a message right there. Because we're in a private call right now. We don't want to get too many voices in the news chat. We will occasionally have like special guests that if they have something they want to say or contribute, and we also have some of our other studio members that participate, like Zill and such. But for now, unfortunately, this is not just an open forum for voices. I mean, it is, but you have to use text. But I definitely agree that, like, they're influenced by who's contributing to their bottom line, right? AMD gave them $1 million to make the game, and maybe 3 other people gave them $1 million to make the game, like whatever. That stuff doesn't bother me, but I don't think AMD is the entire budget, so I don't, I have a hard time understanding why they would lean so far into allowing AMD to call the shots in that case. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I just think that, like, on the same time, like, these studios should just, like, buck up, buttercup, and do better. Now, that being said, AMD is trying to step up slowly but surely, and wonderful, the CEO of that company is trying to pull the entire company up by its britches, whether it wants to or not. As example with the Ryzen line. So hopefully she can continue to do that and whip the graphical sector into shape, because they're still running the company like it is early 2000 in a lot of ways, including with their PR, where they like the weird like Twitter messages and the weird, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just kind of bizarre. Like so many of their marketing people just are acting like they're in this weird like semi-public forum, where it's like okay to be, like secretive and goofy a little bit, but like, and while that is definitely fun and interesting every now and again, that is like AMD's MO. NVIDIA is going to be like, oh, we released the 3080, and so somebody's going to be like, hey, AMD, when is your graphics card supposed to come out? And then one of their execs is like, the sun will come out tomorrow. And so it's like an announcement for their announcement for announcing their graphics cards. Like, guys, come on. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. Enough of that. I do feel like every YouTuber and news place has beaten that to death. So unless do you have anything else you'd like to add to that before we wrap that portion up?
No, I just really hope this is like a blip. I just looked up like 5 more articles where they had interviews with AMD and the devs, and they're like, yeah, basically every article said that games with AMD, like AMD or the devs themselves state that because it's developed for AMD, it will only have AMD technologies. And so I just really hope this isn't like going to turn into the GPU wars of the 2000s, because that was really frustrating and didn't help the gamers at all, because it's not fun to be like, oh, I'm really excited about this game, and then find out 6 months before it's released that it got sponsored by some company just so the other company's tech won't be in it, which is, again, like I think NVIDIA is just trying to get away from that, because DLSS 3.0, it won't matter who develops the game. It'll do it regardless of whose it is.
Yeah.
And so you'll still be able to, they'll have to do a game ready driver for it. So NVIDIA still has to put some work in to support the game. But if they basically said, like, if the game's popular enough that gamers want it in the game, especially if it's like demanding graphically, like it wouldn't make sense for like an indie title that's really easy to run, but for like graphically demanding games, they basically said like their goal is to support as many, if not all of them, as possible. And so they're just going to bypass that whole thing. They're not even going to get into that issue, I guess, which hopefully means they're not going to start doing it with other technologies. But usually when there's a fight that breaks out, both sides start fighting each other, even if one of them didn't throw the first punch. And it's like, oh, come on, guys. Like, we're so close to having like continuity and technological performance. I just really hope it doesn't go that route, because I just don't want to. You remember what it was like in the 2000s.
Yeah, no, like, please, if you have questions or contributions, David, please put them in the text. That's why we're doing this. So, like, if you have questions, like I was just about to answer Honor's questions and comment here once Jared wrapped up. That is the entire point of this. Is we want to try to talk to you guys as much as we can, but we can't have too many voices in the call, because then it just gets a muddled mess. So please, absolutely. Anyway, Jared, go ahead.
But yeah, that's basically it. I don't do it, guys. Don't do it.
Go to war over
this. It's stupid.
So,
let's all work together.
Apparently, one of Honor's favorite YouTubers quit YouTube, and he is sad. That's very unfortunate. Who's the YouTuber, Honor? Also, who do you think is going to win the console war? Honor's asking, not including PC. Well, I mean, at this point, that's like
Nintendo.
Kind of Nintendo. Nintendo's going to win the console war because they're the only console left. In all honesty. You forgot his name.
Nintendo is always like crazy successful, even when they're like not successful, they're still successful.
No, I mean,
for
real though,
everyone's like, the Wii U flopped, and everyone I knew had a Wii U, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the Wii U was a console of broken promises in my eyes, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I do genuinely feel like the new consoles, the Xbox and the PlayStation, those are effectively just computers, guys. Like, the sooner you admit that to yourselves, the better all the wars will be. But like,
yeah.
So the only
especially
winner,
the Xbox, they're not even hiding it.
Yeah, right. the only winner of the console wars is Nintendo, because they're the only one that's still a console, and they're not even really a console because it's portable. It's a Game Boy. It's a Game Boy, you know.
It's just an Android tablet running an NVIDIA Tegra processor.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Nintendo probably, because PlayStation and Xbox are, so with the exception of PlayStation, they have not fully gone over to allowing games on the PC yet. They started with Quantic Dreams Games, which is one of their second-party studios. And then they started testing things out with the engine that Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn is on, which is a really popular engine for PlayStation because it's so well optimized for the PlayStation hardware. Yeah. And that was kind of their proof of concept to see how gamers responded to two AAA budget titles being released on computer, which they both did very well from what I heard. And so maybe they'll start letting things like Spider-Man or God of War or Last of Us, and maybe they'll start letting those studios do it after a year. Usually, so Death Stranding was a timed exclusive, 1 year on the PS4, and then it was released on PC. And so
Yeah.
I think, or it wasn't even a whole year, it was like 8 months. And so I think they would probably start doing that because that's pretty standard for consoles anyway. You know, you say, okay, we get it on PlayStation, and next year Xbox gets to have it, or
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch, or
No,
PC, or whatever.
that's usually the case, except for like a very select few, mostly Sony games. Um,
Yeah.
but and you know, I'm not entirely opposed to that kind of thing when they're single player games, to be perfectly honest. But when they become multiplayer games and you're expecting a multiplayer community and the multiplayer community is also gated, that's when I start having issue with it. But anyway, the originally where I was trying to go with what I started saying was if out of the quote unquote consoles that are out right now or about to come out, I think that if I had to pick a winner between the Xbox and the PlayStation, in the long run, it's going to be the Xbox. But as far as like what the numbers will say, I probably the PlayStation, because most people, I feel like have looked at the Xbox and been like, well, I already have a pretty good computer that'll run everything, so I'm not going to buy an Xbox unless they really just want to, unless they want a computer at their TV, which would be the Xbox at that point. Then they'll get an Xbox. But there are also some other cool things that they're throwing into the Xboxes, like the Shadow Play and some of the other stuff. Which could make the Xboxes worth it, and the consoles worth it. But we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know that PlayStation 3 sold more than Xbox 360. It wasn't that like crazy of a win. It wasn't like landslide or anything, but PS4 sold like over double the amount of consoles as the Xbox One.
Yeah. Well, and there was a long time the Xbox
PlayStation.
There was a long time in the PlayStation 3 era that the Xbox was winning, like just solidly. And I think the last few years
took them a while
the
to catch
PlayStation
up.
3 finally pulled ahead.
Yeah, and the only difference. So when you look at console wars, there's like fanboydom, which is just people saying, "Oh, this is better because I like the symbol on the box." Basically, you know, I
nobody
like the
wins in
commercials
fandom
that they have on YouTube. But if you exclude the fanatics, which are there on every side, there's people that scream Nintendo is the only thing that'll ever play any good games, and it's like, well, I mean, you can't play Modern Warfare on Nintendo Switch, so you know, obviously there's other options out there. But if you look at like, if you take away the fanboydom, then basically all you have is which console has the better games, and the consoles that have the same games, which one plays them better, and they're both about the same. People complain like, oh, this one's like 5% higher resolution and this one has like 3 more FPS on average. You know, and so and there's always gonna be people that argue that makes something better, but at the end of the day, it's like, which one has the games you want to play on it. So if you really like adventure games, like action adventure games, PlayStation's the clear winner of the two. You know, but if you really like online competitive gaming, that seems to be more popular with Xbox users, even though PS4 has more than double the users in Xbox. So like it kind of changed that dynamic. For a long time, if you did online stuff, it was Xbox only, and PlayStation, like, it was kind of dead lobbies a lot. But as they get more crossplay in games, then that doesn't even matter anymore. So it's really just like whatever makes you happy, dude. If it's got the games you want to play, then do it. You know?
Exactly.
And for me personally, I'll get a PlayStation, but
me too,
because I can play the Xbox games on my PC. So
that's kind of where I'm at. Is like, eventually I would love to have the consoles because I just kind of like to collect the consoles. I'm still working on a Dreamcast and a few other odds and ends like that, but like, and I have had a few come at me at great prices, but I just didn't have the money at the time, so which was unfortunate. But so I'm really excited about the console releases, actually, and all the new games that are going to be coming out, because I always feel like the console releases are always great for the gamers, in not just the fact that we're getting a new system, because we also get just this huge wave of like either rehashed games that are often better or as good as the original, or, you know, just this huge wave of games happens, and it's wonderful. But I probably will not be picking up an Xbox for the foreseeable future, just because, like, as Jared was saying, they have stated that all the games that come out in Xbox will be coming out on a computer, more so than ever before. So, like, I just have no reason to, because my computer currently will run most games. So the Rocket League update.
Microsoft kind of
Go ahead, Jared. I'll
I
address
was
that
just,
question
I
in a
was
moment.
sorry about the delay. There's an audio delay for everyone watching, so
Yeah.
I think when I start talking, it's like 3 to 5 seconds after everything else because I'm using the browser because apparently the Discord app on Windows just broke. But yeah, it's also Microsoft's also starting to shift towards supporting PC gaming more, and we saw that with the newest Gears of War game came out on PC before it came out on console, which Xbox gamers were pretty pissed off about. But at the end of the day, Xbox gamers are also PC gamers because I played it on the Xbox app on PC, and so I just played it on my Xbox, which is shaped differently and doesn't have a logo on the front.
It's true. Also, I think my favorite thing about the whole Microsoft kind of leaning into the computer market more is, don't kid yourselves, guys. If you think you're a competitive player on a console, you're not. You're just not. I'm sorry. Because what really matters at the end of the day is your performance, and a good, well-built computer is going to beat your Xbox every time.
Yeah.
And all the competitive people who you watch on stream are definitely playing on a computer. Even if they say they're using a controller, that's great. You're using a controller, you're playing on a computer. I'm sorry.
It's true. It's such a huge difference going from like a 30 to 60 frame like console and then getting on a computer that has 200 frames per second. It's like I watched CSGO is a really good example, or Overwatch is another really good one where people play Overwatch at 300 frames per second.
Yeah.
And so their response time is what's 60 FPS? That's 16 milliseconds. So times that or divide that by 5, so they have a 3 millisecond window for their response time.
So yeah, Linus Tech Tips actually did a really huge, extremely well done series on this of 2 to 5 videos, and each video is pretty long where they get the high-speed cameras out, and then they have Shroud and a couple other competitive players test the different hertz frequencies of the screens, and give everybody a different setup, and consistently all but one guy of these testers performed the best on the 144 hertz screen at 200 frames a second. Whereas the one freak was the guy who was super into classic Super Nintendo games and all this stuff, and grew up like you and I playing these games on a CRT monitor, and was still and had just come from that just a few months ago, so he still had all the timing stuff, quirks and pattern recognition memorized still. And so and I find myself doing that and getting screwed over by in nicer games where I'm I call the shot but I'm too far ahead because I'm expecting them to be there by the time the shot gets there, but they're not because my frames are keeping up.
It's curse this sub 1 millisecond response time.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, to answer your question, Honor, the Rocket League update I believe was in preparation to make it free to play in 5 to 6 days. What they've done is basically they gave everybody that bought the game a whole just giant stockpile, a ridiculous amount of just stuff. I don't know exactly what was contained in that stuff. I do know that there are some special things that say, hey, I bought the game, type skins or ornaments, but I don't know beyond that what's all involved or what they gave. It sounded like they gave everybody pretty much all the core uncommon and lower items, but that's just literally me trying to remember what I read, and because I opened the game last night and I sat there and clicked OK about 40 times before I was like, nope, just gonna hit OK to all because I expected this to end about 130 clicks ago. So
I'll have to start mine up too because I haven't seen that yet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's pretty nifty, pretty cool. The Miles Morales game does look really cool from the reveal. I watched a little short clip of it yesterday as well, or maybe a couple days ago. I don't know. I was hanging out with my sister and we were watching some of this stuff, and it does look super cool. Looks like they've pretty much kept a lot of the same gameplay from the other Spider-Man, but updated the graphics a bit. Now you also Miles Morales, so you have his special set of Spidey powers, which is pretty cool. And I think that's going to be a really great game. I still have yet. I mean, I'm a guilty party here. I still have yet to actually have really sat down and played the other Spider-Man. I did play about a couple hours, 2 hours of it ish, and it's really cool. Some of the mechanics in it kind of remind me of pretty much any open world mechanic, like the original GTA series as an example and stuff like that, where you have like the people who give you quests on the fly and all that fun stuff, or just a lot of those open world mechanics, which is perfectly fine. It does seem like it's tons of fun, and I really want to sit down and play more. But between school and streaming for all you guys and trying to make the stream successful, I've just been really busy. And by crap you mean faces, of course. So I don't know. I'm really excited about all the consoles and all the new games for sure. Jared, you said you've been playing Death Stranding, right?
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
And it was awesome. Just like any other Hideo Kojima game, it ends with like 4.5 hours worth of cutscenes. And so, but it's all directed by basically the Tarantino of video game direction. So, it was like super well done, even though it was like every little detail in the game comes back and it's tied together. And you're just like, at the end of the game, like you're just sitting there watching all the cutscenes and like, you're like, oh, that's what that means. You're like, oh, I get it now. Like, oh, that's why that person's named that name, or like, oh, that's really cool. I get what that item means now, like little things like that. They went some directions that I totally wasn't expecting, and so as I started realizing it, I was like, oh, holy crap, it's that kind of like story. Like the basic fundamentals of the story are not clear to you until you beat the game, which is pretty cool. Funny. I like that because
really cool.
It just changed how the whole game it changed how the whole game felt to me. And so it was really cool. After I finished it, I uninstalled it because like at the end of the game, it's like, all right, now we're just going to rewind 2 weeks and let you go and get 100% of the game if you want, and keep all your items, which is like very Hideo Kojima. Like it's like this super serious, like dark story that basically encompasses all of existence. And then at the end, it's like, we're going to rewind 2 weeks. There you go. All right. If you want to like get 100%, you can do it now. It's like,
I mean, that's cool though. That's
like
cool
every Hideo Kojima game is.
That's cool. I think that's cool because there's so many games, like if you want 100% it, you end up having to play through, like, say it's only a 10-hour playthrough, but still you end up having to play through, the 10 hours to find every little gizmo. And if you miss one, you have to potentially play 9 hours back through it or 10 hours back through it to find it again. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok.
Whole, like if you proceed.
Honor was just say God of War.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. The delay is killer, but
I know it is.
God of War Ragnarok was a surprise. I'm really excited about the next God of War installment, actually, because I really like the God of War story, even on the like relatively crappy like PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games, or PlayStation 2 because that's when it came out, right? But yeah. I don't know. I've always really liked God of War. It's always been fun to play. I like those like platformy-ish, like hack and slash, like combo-based games, like Batman, Arkham Knight, and stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm a sucker for that kind of format. Well, for me, the game that I've been slowly working my way through is Zelda's not Link Awakening. Which one's the one that just came out on the Switch?
That's Link's Awakening.
Isn't it Link's Awakening? Okay.
Yeah.
But I was stuck for the longest time because I couldn't figure out how to get the next key. And I just figured it out last night. Hey, McGarian, welcome by. Do you have anything you'd like to contribute? Anything you're excited about in the news or in gaming? Yeah, because you were like, what, 5 or something? But
that'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. We all have to be there at least once, right? But let's see, what else have I been doing off screen that's fun and exciting? Well, I've been going to school, of course. I have this theater class that's been tons of fun. I have a statistics class, which I like way more than I probably should. And then I have a math class that I super despise. Like I'm interested. I find the math interesting. The interaction of the numbers really interesting, but I pretty much otherwise hate every moment of it because I just am so out of my depth. Fortunately, Zill, the big brain cat, is a physics major, so she's helped a lot. So yeah. Anything else exciting and fun? My dog has a ridiculous howl. That's exciting and fun. She's a Boston Terrier. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Boston Terriers, but she sounds like a cat. Is a math magician, exactly. I've got a new sound clip for my soundboard here. Where'd it go? Oh man, this is important. We gotta find it. Well, that's good. Honor, you're in school, right? How's school going for you? How's everybody doing? Life updates. Give me. Anyway, I can't think of any other games or anything exciting like that I've been doing. Really.
I started Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, so you did go ahead and start that then?
Yeah, it's really, really fun. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I think I got platinum on it when I played it on PS4 when it released.
Yeah.
I never played the expansion, so I'm gonna be playing through the definitive edition, so I can play through and get the expansion all done and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a little bummed about the DLSS because ideally I wanted to play it on the TV, but you can't do that without DLSS.
Yeah.
At 4K. So unless I'm going to go and buy a 3080 like right now. And so that was
good luck
what
with
they
that.
tease people. Yeah, they literally tease people with that. They're like, "Oh, you want to play it on 4K? Okay, well here, go buy a new graphics card then." And it's like, or you could have just allowed them to use DLSS, but
right.
you know, I guess they didn't want to do that.
I guess
it's silly.
Yeah,
but it runs fine on my computer because it's a lower resolution monitor, and so I can play it. But I was a little bummed I couldn't couch play it because Jordan likes watching that game, and stuff. But we'll grab the next one. I'm really like fingers crossed that hoping they're gonna put God of War, an announcement for God of War next, hopefully to coincide with Ragnarok's release maybe next year.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't shock me.
Freaking sweet.
They probably will.
Yeah, just get people in. It's just a smart thing because Sony, like, if they take some of the Xbox market away by pulling people to PC to play Sony games, then even if they're not getting them to buy consoles, which is fine because they make a loss on every console. The console isn't, they don't make money on selling consoles, they make money on selling games for the console that has a license paid to Sony. And so if they can get some of the PC players to also give them license money from purchases, especially if it takes away from Xbox, it's just smart for Sony. So I'm really kind of fingers crossed that they'll do Last of Us Part 2. I would even play through the first one again if they remastered it and put it on there. And God of War. Those Last of Us Part 2 and God of War are the games I want to play most from the PS4 library. If they don't announce the PC port, I'll probably just buy a PS5 and play it on that instead.
Yeah. No, Last of Us Part 2 has been phenomenal so far. I won't discuss it too much though. Yeah.
Don't tell me. I will close my Discord chat.
Horizon Zero Dawn was a really cool game though. When I played it, I didn't beat it, but I got about, I would say like a third, maybe halfway through it, and I haven't picked it back up since. But it was tons of fun. But Horizon Zero Dawn for me, like the only flaw it has is a flaw that a lot of the games similar to it have, which is that you can only climb or interact with certain objects in certain ways. So even if there's a rope hanging between two trees that you can get to, unless it was predestined for you to be able to climb on that rope, you can't.
Well, according to the game, the Allmother has to give you access to a rock in order to hold on to it. So
Yes.
that's they just wrote it into the story, I'm sure.
Right.
No, it's funny too though. So I was excited about it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna play with keyboard and mouse. It's gonna be freaking awesome because I'm gonna have pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just like Uncharted
and-
Honor.
Yeah.
Uncharted series
And,
did that as well. Sorry, Jared. Continue.
Oh, you're good. So I was really excited to play with keyboard and mouse. And like 20 minutes in the game, I switched to controller because it has controls so perfected on the controller that it's better than keyboard and mouse. It's really funny. I might do like what I did with Death Stranding a few times. If I had a really challenging fight, I would hold the controller in my left hand for movement. So I had better movement controls, and then I would like switch from the controller with my right hand to the mouse to like do fine-tune aiming, then back to the controller. Which I'm waiting on Razer to get on that. I have a theory that there's something in Windows where you can't have like a keyboard interface with a joystick, and you can't have a joystick interface with a mouse at the same time. I think there's some type of like control like conflict because it just makes the most sense that they would put out like Razer would put out like a Tartarus or Logitech would put out, or Corsair would put out like their whatever their versions of that is, where it's like the left-handed gaming thing where you've got like all the buttons under these fingers, so you've got like 3 or 4 rows here, and then down here there's like a thumb pad, and all of them have an 8-direction thumb pad, which is just a D-pad. It's just it's either on or off. It's not like an analog stick. And I have this theory that because of the way control schemes work in Windows, it's something to do with like you can't use a mouse and a joystick super effectively at the same time. And I think that's fixed now because in Death Stranding, I was able to hold the controller in my left hand to move while aiming with the mouse. But I think in the past, it was like one or the other, because I totally remember games being like you had to pick your control scheme when the game started. And if you switched, you had to restart the game.
Well, I think I do think that I do know that Windows has its own set of like quirks when it comes to the controllers and stuff like that, for sure. Like 100%, they've slowly like loosened up on it, but you get it because like controllers can't have more than like 3 buttons by Windows default, and when you start adding more buttons to a mouse, things start getting really weird, which is why so many of the multi-button mice come with their own software. But
or
also
they emulate the numpad.
Or they emulate the numpad. Yeah, exactly. So there's that. But I mean, while controllers were actually technically made for gaming and keyboards were not, it's not so much that logic on there so much as like there are just some games that just feel better on the controller because they were designed for the console first, or just because of the format of the game. Oftentimes to me it's the format of the game and then because it was designed for console. But like an example would be for me, Batman Arkham Knight. Batman Arkham Knight is 100% playable on keyboard and mouse, and the first time I played it, I actually played on keyboard and mouse, but I got it on the PlayStation and then I played it on my controller, and ever since then I have not been able to play it on keyboard and mouse again, like at all. Like it just doesn't feel right in any way. Also, it's just a lot more relaxing to play those kinds of games, even though that's not really a relaxing game in a lot of places. It's a lot more relaxing to play those semi-platformer open world games, especially if there's like an auto lock-on system with a controller. Now, where that is different for me is like the Far Cry series. I enjoy the Far Cry series on my keyboard and mouse way more than the controller. Like I've gone back and forth on Far Cry on my computer multiple times between the mouse and keyboard and the controller, and every single time because it's the kind of game where I personally think I would like it more on the controller. So I always started up with my controller, and then like 30 minutes in, I'm like, get this controller out of here. Like, let me get back to my keyboard and mouse. So it really just depends. You think there's going to be a Battlefront 3? Is that even really a question, Honor? There's always going to be another Battlefront.
I think it'll probably be this year.
Yeah. Like...
Probably, like, when I say this year, I mean like the next 12 months.
Yeah. It's one of those game formats that, like, just like Call of Duty and just like Battlefield, it's just one of those formats. It's going to always have a year to every 2-year release. Big Shrek, how are you? Welcome back to the stream. Do you have anything you're excited about in the gaming or tech industry? Or just excited about in general? Or have any questions? Please feel free to contribute.
Yeah, I think we're really close to having like the dedicated like WASD like keyboard thing, like you know what I'm talking about, CJ. Like I know Razer calls theirs the Tartarus, but every company has.
No, I
their
know
own
exactly what
version
you're
of
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for them to put one of those out with, instead of a D-pad, essentially like the hat. It's basically got a hat for the thumb pad, where you have 8 directions. I'm just waiting for them to put one of those out with just a Xbox joystick sticking out the side, and that would be freaking perfect, because then your thumb would have the joystick for movement and everything, and you would still have the little controls for all the other stuff, and you could even probably map it so you could use the keys if you wanted for movement, or the joystick. Because it's so much easier to maneuver with the joystick, and it's so much easier to aim with the mouse. It's like I just want both. I want both at the same time.
No, I've looked into getting that device multiple times, but it's just one of those expenses that I just can't justify, because like for me anyway, like I don't just use my computer for gaming. I mean, I'm also streaming, I'm doing word editing, I'm working on my own tabletop role-playing game, so a lot of typing, a lot of building tables, and like deleting everything and starting over. But so like a unitasker like that for my setup just doesn't make sense. Now, if I had just a PC, if I had the money and a gaming PC that was just a gaming PC, I could get a nice little like 10-key keyboard and like, you know, that Tartarus and a mouse, and just call it a day. But like that's just not in the cards for my current setup. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with them, right? Is like you need the space, you need the money, you need the like, you know, you need to be able to justify a piece of dedicated hardware.
Yeah. That's 100% my issue too. I always look at it and I think about getting it, but I'm like, oh, I could spend that like $130 on this other thing and probably get more use out of it right now.
Yeah.
It always goes like, well, I'm still, you know, it's like I still use my keyboard and mouse and I still use my controller. It's like, well, I don't really need the dedicated left hand thing at this moment.
Exactly.
It's always that I'll get that with my next build, and then when I do my next build, I'm like, yeah, I'll get that with my next build. And
yeah,
now it's been
exactly.
like 10 years.
Well, Big Shrek, I think that Combat Wombat and I are both going to go for the PS5. Since the Xbox, all their games are supposed to come out on computer as well, and we are by default computer gamers first. We'll probably just, at least until one of us decides that we need it just because of posterity, hold off on getting the Xbox. Yeah,
it just doesn't work, I think, for either of us, because if we're going to play an Xbox game, we'll play it on our computer at higher resolution with faster frame rate, and it'll look prettier. And so for us, since we already have that, now if I didn't have a gaming computer, it would be a pretty tough choice, because there's a lot of games that come out on Xbox that don't come out on the PS5. You know, but those games are also coming out on PC, so the Xbox has no exclusivity for me. There's nothing on Xbox that I can't play on the PC. And that's like really the main reason, I think, for both of us. But PlayStation has a ton, and Nintendo too. Nintendo has the most probably first party, because Sony doesn't really do first party stuff. Sony has the most second party studio support. Nintendo has the most first party studio support. So kind of Nintendo and PlayStation are kind of always insta buys for me. Even if like with PlayStation, I sell my PS4 or get rid of it and wait a couple years for the PS5 to come out. Yeah. And so
one of the things that I wanted to add to that was like, if I didn't have a computer, as you were kind of mentioned, I would probably like, if I was just getting into gaming, or like had just come from the, you know, whatever other console, honestly, it would come down to a coin toss for me, because there's so few exclusive games on either platform that I can't say, oh look, there's just as good a game over there. But there is one game on PlayStation that is not on Xbox. So with that in mind, I play Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO. And now, I mean, I haven't played it recently nearly as much as justifies an MMO for sure, but like I do love that game, and I think that those devs deserve my support because it's just the amazing game that they have created, and that I love. So I would have to go with PlayStation 5 because it's definitely going to come out in PlayStation 5 because they already have the PlayStation contract. But they've been in talks with Xbox for like the last 5 years. Yeah, and Big Shrek, we are not picky about the games we play. I think that my core games, if I had to pick like a favorite core set of games, I like strategy games, and I like the combat, like platformer RPG type games, like God of War, or like Batman Arkham Knight, or recently I've been playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, which is just a fun space dwarves shooter gathering game. So I'm just really not very picky. It just has to be a good game, honestly.
Yeah, basically I'll play any game if it's fun. Like that's my barrier to entry.
Yeah,
if it's fun, then I will play it, and if it's out, then it's probably fun because no one would buy it if it wasn't. And so yeah, it's just the only thing that prevents me from like basically playing every single game I can possibly get my hands on, like like I think we both still have Xbox Game Pass. The only thing that prevented me from playing like literally every game on that from start to finish is that I just don't have the physical time. And until Zill works on that quantum entanglement thing to where we can live in our own infinity without aging, then I probably won't ever have time to play every game.
Jacob Rentel, thanks for the how are you? He's from Australia. Good afternoon from Australia, he says. Hello, Jacob. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. We're just talking about the games that we're excited about and the news that we're excited about in the last couple months, and the news and the releases coming up, like the new consoles and the new PC hardware that's coming out and all that stuff. Minecraft, again, I have a Minecraft server. I try to play it at least once a week because it's kind of like an MMO at this point because it's a public server. I think we may have lost... Oh, no, he's back. Okay. But... I don't have the time to sink into it. I wish I did. But we have a pretty cool Minecraft server that we've been working on for the last couple months, on and off as much as we can. And you should try to stop by and check it out sometime. I think I'm going to start trying to do just like a Minecraft Monday, and just like, or do like an MMO and Minecraft Monday, where I do like one of the MMOs for like a few hours, and then do Minecraft for a few hours or something like that. I just like the alliteration of the M's. So
yeah. I'm the same way with Minecraft. I don't think I make it once a week. I probably make it for about 3 or 4 hours every other week. But Minecraft is just, it's one of those like constant games where I've been playing it since 2010, I think 2009 or 2010. And it's one of those games I've always come back to and play a little bit of. And so it's kind of a good game to always be in the background. But yeah, Minecraft. If I had the time, I would probably play it like 20 hours a week. Honestly,
yeah. There's other games similar to it too that I would like to try out. Like there's Roblox that looks really cool. If you haven't messed with it, Portal Knights is also super cool. It leans harder into adventure, but it has its own creative mode as well. Yeah. I also like the art style in Portal Knights a lot more than Minecraft, I have to say. But Portal Knights is super cool and has like different classes, so you can like be a rogue, you can be an archer, you can be a fighter. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so we're really not picky about the kinds of games we play. They just have to be fun and all that fun stuff. Hey, welcome back, David. Did you have a question or something from earlier? Because you said you kind of wanted to try to like ask something and then you evaporated, so I just assumed that you were working on it or got distracted. But anyway, so let's see, what else did you have anything else that we have lost in our shuffling of documents, Jared?
I honestly don't remember. I put a bunch of notes in with links, and then I don't remember it because I was like, it's written down. I don't need to have it in my head anymore until I look at it an hour before we meet to like think about stuff I want to say.
Yeah. Well, I did recreate this document and like start a new document. So I don't know, because I couldn't find the folder that I thought was created in the video endeavor with all the other stuff. so I just redid this one. So it could be somewhere else still. Let's see. We have a whole slew of comments and questions. I think. If there were three games, you would get rid of what games? That's a tough one. I would get rid of Call of Duty.
CJ hates the common gamer. Well, I would get rid of Final Fantasy 14.
Oof, big oof. I mean, it's not even that though. Like, I feel like it's not so much now, right? It's not so much now, right? Like, Call of Duty has come back around and realized, oh, if we don't do quality, they get mad. But there was a hot minute there where they weren't really doing quality, and I was just like, why are you guys even a thing, and why do people keep buying you?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where those feelings are still. I'm still bitter about that, I suppose. And then let's see, another game. If to just get rid of. See, the problem with this is, like, do I know that I'm getting rid of the game, or like once I've gotten rid of the game, is it just gone from existence, never to have existed ever? Because like there's some pretty now awful games that were really great when they first came out. So like a great example of that would be like the first couple Witchers. They were amazing games when they first came out. Have you gone back and tried to play those?
Witcher 2 kind of holds up if you don't mind super linear roleplay games, but Witcher 1 is rough. It's really rough to go back and play.
Yeah, it's like real rough. And the control scheme is just like they tried something new, and like they kept elements of it throughout the Witcher series later, but like they didn't do quite the weirdness that they did then. And so I don't know. That's just such a tough question. There's also a lot of just.
I would get rid of 7 Days to Die.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair.
I feel like they're screwing everyone over, and they just keep making money off of people thinking that they're getting a game that they're not getting.
Is Ark still in Greenlight? Because I know it was doing the same thing for a long time.
I have no idea. That thing's on every console. You have to pay like $60 to buy it, so I assume not. I'm not sure. I know it runs at about 70 FPS on my computer without the graphics turned up, which is bonkers. That it runs worse than like way better looking games.
Yeah, so I think we've decided on Ark, 7 Days to Die, and I don't know, what's another Greenlight game that's been... Oh, Shroud of the Avatar by What's-His-Face, by Mr. British. He made the Ultima series. Shroud of the Avatar has been in Greenlight for, at this point, I think 7 years. Maybe shorter, but it's been forever, and there's in-game purchases with real money also, like land. You buy land and stuff, like... While I commend a lot of the ideas that are going into that game, the fact that it's still in Greenlight after so long is just trash. So those are our 3 games, I guess. So David, let's see. You and the wife are watching Big Brother, so I will be returning. We'll return. Let me... Okay, cool. Thanks, David. And then...
Yeah, I don't mind the Call of Duty annual release schedule. With Modern Warfare, the 2019 remake, they completely changed. Like, they really showed that they listened to the community for once in like 10 years, and they said, okay, we actually need to produce quality content. Warzone is great; it's free, so you can't really complain about that. And multiplayer is tied to each game, so but I don't mind stuff like that. I don't mind like the NCAA and FIFA and like those annual releases either. Like, they're obviously cash grabs, but they're so popular that people are obviously enjoying them. My big thing is I just don't like game companies that actively screw people over without giving them fun, because the 7 Days to Die community, they're all angry all the time. They're always angry. And, I was angry when I played it for like 2 weeks. And so it's like, that's not the point of gaming. It shouldn't make you angry while also taking your money, while also promising to do something that it hasn't done in 7 years. Yeah. And so Ark was kind of the same way. And it's just I don't like people getting taken advantage of. Man, it's really easy to promise something's going to be fun and then dangle them like a almost fun system in front of them and then say like, think about how good it'll be when it is fun, and then just never deliver. But still take people's money.
While I don't necessarily hate the concept of doing that per se, because there's lots of Greenlight games that do that when they first come out for sure, but a good, I wouldn't say a good chunk of them, but some of them manage to like actually deliver, right? Whereas these other games, I don't feel like they've quite delivered what was promised. And then and that was kind of my problem with the Call of Duty games for a long time, is like you got like 10 to 20 hours tops of single player content, which is honestly a lot of the reason I played them at the time. So once they stopped really giving me that, I didn't really care anymore. And then I've just never really liked the online community on like the consoles with those games, so I just had no desire to play them. And then they would come out with a new one every year or every other year, and a lot of times it was just basically a rehashing of the last game with like slightly updated graphics. Only about every 3 to 4 years did they be like, okay, well, we have to upgrade the engine now. Like, I don't know. I am really excited about the Tony Hawk game coming out though, or / is out.
Yeah. I need to look it up and see if it's running smoother than the demo was.
Oh, I'm sure
the demo looked like it almost had it, and so I was like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna nail it once it gets fully released.
Battle Royale games like Warzone.
I played Fortnite a little bit, and I've played Warzone for a couple months now, on and off. I haven't played Call of Duty in like 2 or 3 weeks. I haven't really actually played any online multiplayer games in a couple weeks. I've been taking kind of a break. But yeah, Battle Royale games are really fun.
Yeah, they can be a lot of fun
if you have like 1 or 2 people to play with, though.
Yeah, I agree, because like I tried to play Fortnite without Jared one time, and I just had a miserable experience. And then when Jared and I both played, we had a pretty good time, but we decided that it wasn't really for us. And then there's also another game. Actually, this game, guys, if you haven't heard of this game / haven't played it yet, you should go do that. I don't know if it actually costs any money, but Spellbreak is kind of like it's one of those battle royale games, but it's a like based on magic and stuff. So you have like these different magic powers, and it's super cool. But
it's free.
It is free.
And it's released on Epic Game Store now.
Yeah. And you can like combine the elements to get different effects and do all this other stuff to like kind of control the field. It's not the environment's not destructible, which I kind of wish it was sometimes, but it is really, really cool. And another one of those games that honestly like I've gotten into a little bit, and then I haven't gone back to it in a hot second, so I'm kind of scared to touch it again, but I am excited about it nonetheless, just because the concept is really exciting to me, because I like throwing fireballs and ice and lightning. I think that's just cool. Like, it's a lot cooler than shooting a gun in a digital world. Like, maybe it's because I shot guns in real life, but like
yeah. Yeah, with multiplayer games, it's just I kind of don't really ever want to play them without friends. The one exception is like team deathmatch on like Call of Duty, or pretty much any team deathmatch really, but I don't know how other games communities are, but the Call of Duty team deathmatch community is pretty just like average. Like, your teammates actually try to complete the objectives, the other teammates actually try to stop you. You're trying to kill each other. People actually try to kind of like work together sometimes to kill the other team faster. And like, that's unfortunately that's about the most glowing accolade you can get from almost any modern like multiplayer game existing right now, because most multiplayer games are kind of at best they'll hit that level, and most of the time it's just a bunch of trolls trying to ruin the game for everyone else. And that's why everyone has like gaming groups that they play with exclusively. And so Modern Warfare's multiplayer on Call of Duty, at least, I don't know how Black Ops will be, but the Modern Warfare community on Call of Duty, their deathmatch groups are actually just like completely average and okay. And that's not bad.
Yeah, no, I've had tons of fun when we've played Warzone. So It was good. It was good. But yeah, I mean, it's been almost 2 hours now, guys, so I think we're going to probably go and wrap it up. Any last minute questions or thoughts? And I'll probably come back with an actual stream of a game here after this. Give me like 20 to 30 minutes to like get set up and reboot it into a different thing. But yeah, do you have
I know someone was asking a question. I'm looking at the chat real quick. Let's see. Where was it at? Because it was about Wipeout. Oh, Honor was asking it. Asking if we remember Wipeout, the game. And so I have to ask you, Honor, are you talking about like the game show? Or are you talking about like the Wipeout game from the 90s? Because I definitely remember playing a crap ton of Wipeout on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2. But I know there was a game show called Wipeout in like the late 2000s that I think had a game associated with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do remember Wipeout wasn't the like the ski or snowboard game?
No, it was basically like F-Zero. It was like kind of the spiritual successor to F-Zero because Nintendo just like stopped making one like that insanely popular game. They only made 2 of them. They made F-Zero on the Super Nintendo and then F-Zero X on the 64. I think that was the last one. They may have made one for the GameCube too. But Wipeout, you have the cars. It's like crazy fast. It ran like 60 FPS. And it was just like super crazy, insane technical driving of like hover cars. And there were weapons and it was like 60 FPS and you went like 200 miles an hour. It was insane. It was like Pod Racer when you use the debug mode to speed everything up. And so it had like crazy tournaments where people were just way better than they should have ever been because they drove like Formula One racers.
Yeah.
It was like crazy. But that game is like 30 years old. So I figured Honor was probably not talking about it. I didn't really watch the game show or play any of the games associated with that.
I'm not familiar with the game or the game show, so that just makes me think of the Simpsons game on the Super Nintendo that I played when I was like 12.
Or the remember that Dreamcast one? What was it? Power Stone? That was a great multiplayer brawler.
Yeah.
It was basically like 3D Super Smash Bros, but in a 3D environment instead of 2D.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna dip out, and I'll be back again with probably a game stream soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for asking all your questions. And if you guys have any questions or want to contribute to this talk and just chatting in the future, hit us up on Twitter, Zerofoxcng, and just tag it with Zerofoxcng Cafe. All right. Have a good night, guys, and we'll talk to you later.